Some of the weirdest and most interesting facts about US presidents have been pretty much forgotten, but we've managed to dig up a few, and we have those weirdest White House pets too.
Let's dig into this.
John Quincy Adams loved to swim, and he was an early riser, usually getting up for the day between 4 and 6 a.m. He took advantage of his quiet early mornings by walking over a mile to a spot on the Potomac River and swimming in the nude.
There's an old legend that one day a Washington, D.C. journalist named Anne Royal discovered the president skinny dipping and promptly sat on his clothes, remaining there until Adams agreed to be interviewed. While this probably isn't true, Royal did get her first introduction to the president in 1829 when he swam under a bridge where Massachusetts Congressman Edward Everett and Royal were standing.
Benjamin Harrison, the 23rd President of the U.S. and the grandson of 9th President William Henry Harrison, was so terrified of electricity installed in the White House in 1891 that he refused to turn the lights on or off, often going to bed with the lights on.
And of course, his grandfather had given the longest inaugural speech in history, 8,445 words in an hour and a half, on a cold, wet, windy day in 1841. He fell ill shortly after the speech and died just 33 days into his presidency.
When William Henry Harrison died, John Tyler was his vice president. The 25th Amendment of the Constitution defining the succession wouldn't be ratified for another 126 years, and no one was quite sure what to do. Tyler convinced everyone that he should get the job and became possibly the most hated president in his own time.
During Tyler's presidency, he was expelled from his own party, and all but one member of his cabinet resigned over his policies. He was the first U.S. president to face impeachment, too. The New York Times obituary on his death in 1862 called him the most unpopular public man that had ever held office, and flags were not even ordered to half-mast to mourn his passing.
Rutherford B. Hayes lost the popular vote by 250,000 in a wild and disputed election that ended with the creation of an electoral college commission, which gave Hayes the win by just one vote, earning him the nicknames Rutherfraud and his fraudulency. He was also known as Granny Hayes because he didn't gamble, smoke, or drink.
President William McKinley had a thing for carnations. He thought the flower brought him luck and almost always wore one on his lapel. On September 6 of 1901, while visiting the Pan American Expo in Buffalo, New York, he plucked the scarlet carnation from his lapel and handed it to a 12-year-old girl in the crowd. Just moments later, he was shot twice by an assassin at point-blank range and died the following week. The scarlet carnation was named the state flower of Ohio in McKinley's honor.
21st President Chester A. Arthur was a very spiffy dresser. He reportedly owned more than 80 pairs of trousers and was called Elegant Arthur by some.
The nickname probably fit him well. Almost as soon as he took office, Arthur decided the White House needed major renovation, but necessary funds were not available. What to do? Why, have a good old yard sale, of course. 24 wagon loads of historic relics, including one of John Quincy Adams' hats and a pair of Lincoln's trousers, were sold to pay for an elevator and new plumbing system, while Louis Comfort Tiffany, of the stained glass and blue box jewelry fame, was hired to design at least 5 rooms. According to the White House Historical Association, over $110,000 was spent on the White House from 1881 to 1885.
You may have heard that President William Howard Taft once got stuck in a bathtub in the White House due to his 5'11", 340-pound frame. While historians say this never happened, a special bathtub was installed for Hayes that could fit 4 men.
Speaking of Taft, after his election in 1909, he traveled to Georgia and was a guest at a fancy dinner in Atlanta, where an 18-pound roasted possum and sweet potatoes were served. He was also presented with a toy stuffed possum. Billy Possum was only popular for a few months, but Taft continued to dine on roast possum for years.
And speaking of possums, Herbert Hoover had a pet possum at the White House. He called it Billy, after Taft's. Teddy Roosevelt had a badger named Josiah who lived at the White House until he started attacking guests.
John Quincy Adams kept an alligator in a bathtub in the White House for a while, delighting in sending visitors to that bathroom without warning and watching them flee in terror.
Martin Van Buren fought Congress to keep 2 tiger cubs. Van Buren lost the fight when Congress decided they had been a gift to the U.S. and not the president. The cubs went to the Washington Zoo.
President Calvin Coolidge and his wife Grace had a pet raccoon named Rebecca, who participated in the annual White House Easter egg roll and dined on shrimp, persimmons, and eggs. Rebecca was allowed to run loose in the White House and loved to unscrew light bulbs and open cabinets.
Several presidents had birds, including President McKinley, who had a parrot that whistled Yankee Doodle Dandy and said, "Look at all the pretty girls," whenever a woman came near its cage. Andrew Jackson had a parrot who swore so loudly during Jackson's funeral it had to be removed from the area. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, here's another DragonDen video you might like.
And if you like this video, don't forget to hit that thumbs up button.
And you can hit the notification bell if you'd like to know when our videos come out.
Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.